Hello, this is Danny Raymond, the voice behind Ray's Guide. This video is sponsored by Southern New Hampshire University and their online Bachelor of Science in Computer Game Design. More on that later. I cannot imagine a game recently that has generated so much hyperbolic commentary on YouTube as Starfield.
I can't believe I get to stand near you, breathing the same air. I've got to have every molecule.
With just a short Starfield Direct presentation that was much more developers talking than actual showing gameplay, still some are saying that it will be the greatest thing ever, and others being overly pessimistic about how it was certainly going to be a disappointment. But even the pessimists are giving an asterisk to their criticism that the modders will certainly fix it, even on things that I am not too certain about the ability of some of these things to be fixed. In fact, we've even had our first promised mod for Starfield, and yes, it is to fix a problem in the game. So let's start with the first problem and the mod that has been promised to fix it. Bethesda has announced that it will be an exclusive partnership with AMD for Starfield. Other games that have had similar partnerships have wound up their AMD SFR intelligent upscaling technology only, not with the competitive and more well-regarded DLSS from NVIDIA or XeSS technology from Intel. Now, the modder PureDark, who has done similar DLSS workarounds mods for other FSR games, has announced that he will have a comparable fix out day one for Starfield. Now, you might wonder how PureDark can promise that months before without having any access to the program itself. The reason is that PureDark's solution is something of a kludge. He runs the game through Reshade and then has Reshade add the DLSS magic. Now, as someone who has a recent vintage NVIDIA card with no interest at all in spending almost four figures for a new video card just to play Starfield, PureDark's work is welcome. But by jumping onto it, aren't we kind of giving Bethesda cover for being lazy about doing their job? I mean, for the price that AAA titles go for, don't we deserve to have full support for current lines of graphic cards? Having to pay a modder to do what absolutely should have been in the box from Bethesda should not be simply shrugged off. The second complaint I have been hearing a lot is that the romantic story arcs are available only for the four main characters of Constellation. So if you want to pursue sexual intimacy vicariously through a video game character, sorry, there really wasn't a less pervy way of saying it, then this is your dating pool. Yeah, I get it, unimpressive. Now this, from prior history of Bethesda modders, I have no doubt that they will make sure that you have a wide variety of 20-year-old Double D symphomaniacs to choose from. And if they can't figure out any other way to do it, they will just make alternate character models for every one of the members of Constellation as 20-year-old Double D nymphomaniacs. Yes, even this one. The third area that's gotten concern in this area is of no vehicles or not being able to pilot your approaches and takeoffs that are going to be likely to be impossible for modders to change, or at least to change with satisfactory results. I'll delve into why in the next section. And then there's the area that I'm most interested in, the disappointing news that 90% of the 1,000 planets promised will be barren rocks unable to support life and useful only as a resource supply and possible base building location. Now, I can appreciate the experience of the magnificent emptiness, but 900 examples of magnificent emptiness? No, I'm more hoping that rather than being 900 empty barrenness, we are going to see 900 blank canvases for modders. And so my ideal modding tool will be a base importer, where you can take the base that you build in the game, import it into the modding tool, and then add the characters, dialogue, quests, etc. in order to convert it to an interesting mod, and then publish it, at which point players adding the mod to the game will get a new point of interest on their global view of the planet. Not only does this have huge creative possibilities in painting those 900 blank canvases, but also as a way of converting my experience of creating in the game into something to share with others, creating a sense of community in a single-player game. Moreover, a group of modders could adopt a planet and set a backstory and theme to it, and then collaboratively fill out the whole planet with it as a basis. That's way more interesting a concept than just 900 versions of an empty nothing. But there will be challenges with this sort of mod that haven't been part of prior Bethesda games. And that is because Starfield has such an entirely different scale to the game environment and ways of managing the game environment. So I need to talk first about what procedural generation is. Procedural generation is the technological successor of the old-school random map generator that you had way back in the earliest world-building and 4X strategy game. It's just more layers of sophistication. Now, computers don't actually do random anything very well. There are no dice inside of them. Rather, they have algorithms that, given a particular seed, will start to produce a sequence of numbers that will seem to be random, but in fact, the same seed will always produce the exact same sequence of numbers, which is in fact useful because some games will allow you to enter a map number, which is just the seed to the random number generator, and that will allow you to try different techniques with the exact same starting conditions. And multiplayer games can give every player the exact same map just by sending the seed number to each other. And persistent games need only save the seed number once. The only way to get a player a map that seems completely new is to set the seed number to something that they have no control over, such as the milliseconds on the system clock. In the Starfield Direct presentation, Todd Howard said the game generates a 1 kilometer square of terrain at a time. Now that's a pretty small tile size for a planetary body. The Earth, for example, has a surface area of 510 million square kilometers. That's a lot, and way more than it makes sense to pre-generate. And it also means that from the global view, there is no way to click on a particular surface tile. There is simply not enough pixels or mouse resolution for that. I'm not sure what the bonus for fully surveying a planet will be based on, but I'm pretty sure it's going to mean visiting a number of locations that is more than one, but way, way less than 500 million. But Bethesda says that the planets are fully explorable, so I am presuming that it is possible to click on areas other than the marked points of interest. What happens then? Well, I suspect that the system will take the latitude and longitude data for the lighting model, and then, during the descent phase, cutscene, calculate from a seed taken from the system clock the landing square kilometer, and then we'll force flatten, let's say, the 100-meter square in the center point, so the ship has a place to set down on at the end of the animation. Why do I say that the system will generate a new random map tile? Because they say that two people will visit the same planet and come back with different stories. That could mean a lot on a planet with life and cities, but a planet that is just a barren rock, there is little to be different other than the terrain. Since it is possible to see terrain more than 450 kilometers away from the center of the tile, I suspect that the game will also pre-generate the 8 surrounding kilometer tiles in a 3x3 grid, and do the stitching algorithm to make them have a smoother transition. And then you move from the starting tile to any of the surrounding tiles, it will generate additional squares to keep a 3x3 grid surrounding your current location. Then when you launch from the planet, it will take the latitude and longitude seed values and make a new feature point on the global view so that you can return, particularly if you plan on making a base of that location or a mod. This is why I suspect it will be impossible for any mod to ever offer piloted descents and launches, vehicles able to fly higher than a jetpack, and vehicles able to traverse the ground at high speeds, because you can either see the ground at the edges of the tile grid, or you can get to the edge tile faster than the system can in the background generate the new tiles at the edge. You literally fall off the edge of the world to the delight of flat earthers everywhere. But it also means we're talking about being able to create mods to create new landing locations at outposts. These mods have to include the procedural generation seeds for the kilometer of terrain that the mod is centered on. Otherwise, the outposts that you have built on a slight slope could be buried in an inaccessible cliff, or entirely underground, or hanging in the air. But there is more to it than that. Let's say you publish a mod that puts your custom base in a cool place, let's say on the North Pole. Now, it won't be quite the North Pole because, as I said, you can't actually put 500 million tiles on a computer screen, but as close as they could click. But then somebody else also thinks to mod at the North Pole would be cool. You load both of those mods, and then you get 2 outpost markers, both trying to be at the North Pole, and overlapping each other so you can click on either of them. So there has to be a system, manual or automatic, for the end user to move the markers so that they can be individually chosen, but still keep the terrain seed underneath them. But moving the marker means moving the latitude and longitude, which could change the lighting model. But maybe the mod freezes only the terrain, but also the latitude and longitude information if a particular lighting was needed. And all this sort of thing that we get to know about what mods will be like in Starfield. Presuming that this will be just like other Bethesda games isn't a safe presumption. There are new and different limits in Starfield. Some things will be easy and others hard or even impossible. and changing one thing often has unexpected follow-ons. That's the nature of software development. There are always unexpected consequences to be anticipated and adapted to. But modding is a great way to mix gaming and coding and design skills. Some modders eventually transition into it as a career, but often more than just modding skills are needed to transition your career. And one route to take to get that extra is our sponsor, the online Bachelor of Science in Game Programming and Development from Southern New Hampshire University, a regionally accredited not-for-profit college with the lowest cost per unit of any major university. And SNHU has been recognized as one of the most innovative colleges in the country. Classes and work assignments are entirely virtual, so time zones and whatever your schedule is need not be a problem. SNHU has a 90-year history of providing career-focused professional degrees. For more information and to talk to a real live person about the questions you might have about this or any of the other degrees that they offer, go to snhu.edu/raiseguide and fill out the form. Game programming is just one of over 200 degrees that they offer. Again, to learn more, fill out the form at snhu.edu/raiseguide. And now for an update on our giveaways, there's a CitizenCon themed video editing contest. See the link video for details about that. And then the ship giveaways. First, I have our 10,000 subscriber thank you for the LTI Hull C, the Colossal Cargo Container Carrying Craft, or $100 of Steam Store credit, to be given away when the C goes live soon in 3.20, and the big annual ship giveaway, either for the Galaxy Complete, the massive modular mining moving medical machine, or the brand new big box bargain bazaar called the Merchantman, or again, $100 in Steam Store credit. To enter, just be a member and be entered automatically, or subscribe and comment with the secret word. And the secret word is what I expect modders to change everyone in Constellation into. Fly safe, keep it real, and I'll see you in the verse. This is Daniel Raymond for Ray's Guide.